This is the abridged version for the Worthington Alliance for Responsible Development, aka WARD, the survey that they conducted in March of 2016, and some of the kind of basic overview analysis. You can view a detailed analysis of the data, including all the answers in slide format at wardworthington.org. It's important to note that the survey methodologies, this is an attitudinal survey, so there are parameters to that, but the main goal is to gauge general feelings about the topics outlined from Ward's guiding principles, which can also be found at their website. And the survey questions and the methods that were used and the matrix and so forth were developed in conjunction with Dr. Armstrong from The Ohio State University, and she helped use a variety of methods to fit within statistically significant survey design. And the responses with the data, we collected 293 valid responses from 293 participants. And there were a handful of folks who lived outside of the city of Worthington in the school district. We did not count them in the valid responses because this was for Worthington residents only. Of the 293 that participated, 80% of them identified the number of people in their household that they were representing, which came out to 750 people being represented. You can see a geography of the participants. Kind of a visual here, but more specifically over here, the percentages, which is pretty consistent with the actual population of the geography of Worthington. So a little uptick here in the estates north toward Caron, but for the most part it's pretty consistent, which you'd expect a little uptick because of the United Methodist Children's Home property. Also with demographics as far as male versus female, pretty consistent with the current demographics for the city. Same thing with age. We actually capture the age demographics with the participants consistent with the age demographics for the city. So our largest two demographics age-wise is 65 plus and 35 to 44 years old, which tend to be kind of young families, which is consistent with Worthington in general. Some takeaways, regarding familiarity of the different plans, the two different plans that were outlined, the LC, the Lifestyles Community plan that was proposed for the United Methodist Children's Home back in June of 2015, and also the Worthington Comprehensive Plan, which is an ongoing document that was revised in fall of 2014. So nearly all participants are somewhat familiar or very familiar with the LC plan. 3/4 of participants are somewhat familiar or very familiar with the comprehensive plan. So we have, as far as the participants go, a very educated group of folks who took the survey, which you would expect because those who have interest in these issues are probably going to take the time to fill out the survey. But the good news is that we did have a handful of folks who, actually a few dozen folks who answered that they were not at all familiar or not too familiar with the LC plan or the comprehensive plan, and their answers were consistent from a ratio perspective to those who were very familiar with the plan. So across the board, our ratios kind of remain the same. Takeaway on moving, most people plan to stay in their home for at least 10 years, obviously barring any unforeseen situations in life. Only 7.5% plan to move away from Worthington regardless within 10 years, and 27% want to move within Worthington to a different home within Worthington, and 3.5% want to stay in Worthington and move into a different house but feel that there's no housing for them. Growth, 1/4 of people do not desire more growth, residential or commercial. 3/4 of the people, they do desire some growth, and in this slide they could have picked more than one answer. So 3/4 of the people who desire residential growth also desire commercial growth. 2/3 of people who desire commercial growth also desire residential growth. So not everybody picked both. More people desire commercial than residential growth. The most noted reasons for the answers for the growth, which was an open-ended question for folks, and we basically parsed out the data. Density, the reason they answered the way they did, whether it was no or yes for growth, is density. They want responsible development, and they want to keep the tax base healthy. Takeaways for height. 3/4 of participants find that 2 or 3 stories are acceptable. The rest are, a quarter of the folks think that more than 3 stories is acceptable. And again, this is consistent across the board with whether or not somebody wants growth and how familiar they are with the different plans that were mentioned. As far as setbacks, based on a ranking tool, it was pretty clear that fresh time setbacks, setbacks similar to Anthem, were preferred over like Old Worthington or the Ethan Allen building. Also, with the parking, surface parking behind the building is much more highly preferred to parking decks or parking between High Street and the building. So, again, people aren't necessarily a fan of the Ethan Allen parking setback. And if you look at retail, for the UMCH spot, people desire food options. So restaurants, family casual, ethnic were mentioned the most. Specialty foods, I guess people from Worthington like to eat. I know I do. So not desired. We know that people don't want jewelry stores, pet stores, or dry goods. Those are the lowest indicated retail places. Apartments, based on the ranking tool, it's pretty clear that people don't want apartments, regardless of whether or not you want growth or all those cross sections that we mentioned before. Apartments took 3rd or 4th place out of 4 positions in nearly every single response. So owner-occupied condos are a little bit more preferred, but building nothing is preferred to apartments or condos, which was an interesting stat there. A little more data on the multi-story. You can look at this a little more detail if you'd like. Housing variety. People do want some variety of housing in addition to what we already have in the city, and it's pretty clear that people prefer kind of a small unit, single family type housing, empty nester, smaller homes, 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, patio homes, young professional, what are called kind of cottage homes, single-story houses. People don't want the apartments geared towards young professionals or anybody, and aging population nursing homes are not desired either. Green space, people generally want a larger piece of green space consolidated into one piece as opposed to broken up. There's some desire for 3 Seasons building or community performance center that can be rented out, that type of thing. Splash pad, public restrooms, all things that were noted as desired. People don't want a pond or electric playground like you would see in, there's a couple in Westerville. These are the ward guiding principles that are mentioned on the website, wardworthington.org, and you can see the percentages based on 1 to 10 scale, and these are the percentages of folks who indicated 9 or 10, which was really important to them, as opposed to 1 or 2, which was not at all important to them. So you can see 78% of people find that this one is really, really important. Green space is really important. So basically, those are the takeaways. Character or attributes about the attractiveness of Worthington: community character, location, schools are the top 3 comments there. And the biggest concerns are too much development, apartments are a concern, and those who fear change are also a concern. Those are the top 3 comments there. The UMCH specific participants noticeably opposed the June 2015 LC proposal, including the multi-story apartment complex. There is a desire for more housing variety, and there's some desire for publicly funded green space. Again, you can view the detailed report at wardworthington.org.